Alright guys, the Mecha Break demo has come out. It has been out for about a week now, and there's been a lot of varying criticisms of the game itself, a lot of different issues people have run into. Overall, it seems like the game is far better than the negative score would imply, but at launch it had a lot of server issues, a lot of people couldn't get into it. The curfew in China, I guess, affected a certain percentage of people who wanted to play it and couldn't, so the game got a lot of negative reviews at launch. And then, of course, remember, this is just the demo, so this is not even the full version of the game, but the demo has been downvoted to hell. I think it's currently sitting at about 35% on Steam. However, I have played the game for myself, and I gotta say, whether or not I see myself playing this game long-term is irrelevant. The game is fun, the game definitely has an audience, and it definitely will do well, provided it gives players enough different, options of how to play, things to do, missions, etc., etc. My biggest concern is when you get games that just kind of like lean too far into the fan service where they don't really give you enough like hardcore gaming, but they definitely give you pretty characters, which is nice, but I need the game to also be good. That being said, I don't know that this is another First Descendant situation. This game seems like there's a lot more to it. We'll just have to see as the situation unfolds when the final game releases, how predatory the monetization is, and just how much there really is for players to do in the game. That being said, I've played, again, the demo a couple times, and I think it's a lot of fun. I think it could do very well, which is why you still see 73,000 people playing it, a concurrent peak of 139,000 for the 24-hour peak. So again, once the full version comes out, we'll see how it actually fares. That being said, another game that is doing phenomenal right now is Monster Hunter Wilds, which released last night. So within the first 24 hours, they've already hit a concurrent peak of 1.3 million players. And as you can see right now, it's still going back up. Here we are on Friday night. It's back up to almost 1,048,000. It's just going to continue to climb as the evening gets, further and further into the evening here. This game is doing insanely well, but the big concern I have is where you see this 47.76% rating on Steam, and we'll get into that in a minute. You can see from Dexerto, they point out that it has massively bypassed games like Cyberpunk and Elden Ring. Dexerto says Monster Hunter Wilds has already beaten Cyberpunk and Elden Ring's peak player count with over 1.1 million players on release day, which is absolutely mind-blowing because games like Elden Ring were fantastic. Like, this is shocking. Cyberpunk here, absolutely unbelievable numbers that this game is doing, right? It's pretty incredible. People are pointing out the character creator too is really good. Kabuto says that they know how to make good female black characters in Japan. And it's true, these character models, everything I'm seeing is very customizable. It's really cool looking. Yeah, there's some controversy among, again, the anti-woke side where it's like, oh, but you can put beards on women. It's like, this is not the first time in a video game you could do that. You also don't have to. They're not telling you you need to. Now, the game does, again, have body type A and B, which, again, is a weird thing in my personal opinion. It's kind of like throwing pronouns in the game. I don't like it. But if the game is still good, okay, it's a small price to pay, right? You can see over on Metacritic, the Metacritic critic score is 90. User score is not available yet. So the critic score is sitting at a 90, which is pretty damn good. You can see that by platform for PC, the score is actually sitting at 88, so even better. It's generally favorable. No mixed or negative reviews for PC. However, this gets kind of concerning when you start to unfold this entire story and you go, wait a second. The critics say it's a 90. On PC, it's an 88. But the game's got 47% on Steam. What's going on? Well, here's the issue. You can see this article from Polygon says, my air fryer is more optimized than this. Monster Hunter Wilds players are suffering from performance issues. Players report crashes, low frame rates, and polygonal character models. And you can see some of these right here. If this is an actual screenshot from the game, this is absolutely insane. This is terrifying, right? And I have seen some people, some fellow streamers, content creators who are playing Monster Hunter Wilds, who there's a lot of frame droppage and stuttering in their games too. This seems to be not a very well optimized game. It says, good news, Monster Hunter Wilds is finally out. Bad news, it runs like garbage, especially on PC. It's so bad that for some players, the graphics have reverted to 1996. Reddit user ImpressiveCry3448 posted screenshots of blurry polygonal characters who looked like they came from a Nintendo 64 game. Many of the graphical issues that were present during the beta playtests are still present in the final game, and players aren't happy about it. Now, guys, I was actually thinking about here on Friday night, picking this game up and streaming it so you guys could kind of see for yourself what the game's all about. Unfortunately, at this point, I know that some of my hardware is just not up to snuff for some of these current games, and the last thing I'm going to do is waste any money on a game that I know is not going to run well on my PC, which is unfortunate. I mean, my PC doesn't tend to have very many issues with most games. I mean, it even ran Stalker 2 as poorly as it did. PC Gamer says, I wish Monster Hunter Wilds open world and changing seasons were ambitious enough to justify its PC performance woes, but they've yet to truly wow me, which is really funny. Like, if all these guys that are writing these articles are talking about its performance woes, then who the hell on Metacritic gave it a 90? Like, think about it, guys. This is the craziest thing about, again, access journalism and these early critic scores. When the critics say it's a 90 to 95 even, or even in the high 80s, you should still be concerned. Sure, the game could also be fantastic, and the user score could also be very high as well, but you should definitely be concerned with games like this where the critics gave it a overall score of 90, and yet here are all the journalists saying how poorly it's optimized on PC. Like, did you guys not actually play it? Did you not review it? Or play it before you reviewed it? I'm really confused by this, right? So you can see on Steam some of these reviews, the ones that are rated most helpful. This game is absolutely amazing, but has the worst optimization I've ever seen. I understand that new games are becoming more demanding and people are expected to upgrade, but this is absurd. I'm aware this isn't the first instance of new games having poor performance on launch because the same thing happened with World, but it feels inexcusable at this point. I am by no means saying the game is bad, but in its current state, you should probably consider waiting for a more stable release. Another one says, okay, I'll say this, Capcom, I love your games. I even love this game so far. It has a lot of incredible stuff in it. I can see why people are giving it an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, even 10 out of 10. I'm even able to play it at a comfortable, stable frame rate with good visuals because thankfully I'm blessed with quite a decent setup. But what the hell is this lack of optimization and you trying to force frame gen on us? Not everyone is even able to use this tech. I saw how the game runs and looks on consoles, also not the best situation here. You'd think that the whole situation with Dragon Dogma 2 would change something for the better, and instead we have this. Another one of the not recommended says, Capcom, please auto-collect the bug reports that you spent over 5 minutes generating, I beg thee. Manually emailing off bug reports is ancient tech. Another person says, how does the game manage to run perfectly fine in the open beta and I receive an excellent rating score on the benchmark, but the actual product that costs actual money and runs like absolute sludge? I've never legit encountered a game that wasn't at worst playable. I've never seen a game run this poorly while still looking this bad. And this is funny he mentions the benchmark tool because I ran the benchmark tool for Black Myth Wukong when it released just to make sure my PC would run the game, very well, and it did. It ran very smoothly, so no problem there. Now, even more concerning, move over here to Twitter to see Permaband saying, so apparently I am seeing lots of people having a lot of heartache with the supposed latest NVIDIA Monster Hunter Wilds game ready driver. Causes a whole lot of black screens and blue screens of death, which is something I've had with computers lately. Personal experience, I hate the blue screen of death. It's the worst thing ever. Most of them happening to anyone with a GPU that is not a 50 series, which is the majority of people. Is there any truth in that? He follows up and says, in other news, many JP netizens who were hyped over a Monster Hunter Wilds and installed the driver day one are now calling it a landmine driver because it bricked their display. As in made their display black out and they can't ever reuse it again, apparently. A guy says, I upgraded to AMD with my new card a few months ago, haven't had a problem. Seeing this, though, makes me glad I did. Yeah, unfortunately, this is one of those things that even as cheap as my monitors are, I'm not willing to risk frying or losing any part of my computer setup over a game. It's just not worth it. So, again, could these be isolated situations, isolated issues? Absolutely. Unfortunately, what doesn't seem to be isolated based on the reviews we're seeing is that the optimization on PC for this game is absolutely dreadful despite how good the game is, and it's creating more or less an unplayable situation for a lot of people where they're just flat out, going, I should have waited, shouldn't have, paid my money for this game yet. You should definitely wait for better optimization before you spend your money on it. So again, it could be one of these cases that in 6 months this game's fantastic, but right now it's just not ready. So I'm gonna leave it right there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.